Okay, so in today's world, just finding something you can actually verify, something solid, feels like a real challenge, doesn't it? There's just so much noise.
It really does. Information overload is definitely a thing.
Exactly. So today we're doing a deep dive into something called AGI AGS v5.4. It's this framework designed for planetary governance, believe it or not, and it claims to tackle this head on.
Yeah, it makes some pretty bold claims about truth and verification.
So our mission today is really to unpack how this system even thinks about truth and maybe what that could actually mean for you, for us.
Well, the interesting thing is most systems get bogged down in philosophy, right? What is truth? AGI, EGS sort of sidesteps that.
How so?
It redefines it. It talks about calculating computable veracity.
Computable veracity. Okay.
Yeah.
What does that mean in plain English?
It means focusing on claims that are belief independent, so statements whose truth doesn't really rely on what someone thinks or feels about it.
Right. So things you can objectively check, quantify somehow.
Precisely. Things based on evidence, on data, not opinion.
That's quite a shift, isn't it? So how does it actually do that? And what about things that are subjective? Art, personal feelings. Does it just ignore them?
Not ignore, but it categorizes them differently. It uses this tiered veracity model. It's quite clever.
Okay, break that down for us. Tiers.
So tier 1 is the axiomatic core. Think objective, totally mind-independent truths.
Like?
Mathematical proofs, 2 plus 2, 4. Or fundamental laws of physics, gravity, stuff that's just true, non-negotiable.
Got it. Bedrock facts. What's tier 2?
Tier 2 is the rational consensus layer. This is more about intersubjective truths, things we as humans have broadly agreed upon through rigorous processes.
Okay, like what kind of things fall in there?
International treaties, maybe foundational legal documents like constitutions, very well-documented historical facts where there's wide agreement. It sees the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The UDHR is a really key example here.
Interesting. So agreed upon frameworks. And tier 3?
Tier 3 is contested domains. And this is where, frankly, most real-world stuff lives, right?
Yeah, the messy stuff.
Exactly. It's probabilistic. It's subject to ongoing debate, investigation. Here, the system doesn't declare the truth. It acts more like a truth cartographer.
A truth cartographer.
Yeah.
I like that. So mapping the landscape, what does that actually look like in practice for tier 3?
It means identifying where the scientific or expert consensus lies. It looks at sources like, PubMed, Scopus, peer-reviewed papers.
Right.
It calculates a probabilistic confidence score, like how sure are we based on the evidence. But crucially, it doesn't just stop there. It also surfaces credible dissenting views.
That's important. So it shows the disagreement too.
Yes. And it traces the provenance, the origin of claims, tries to spot potential bias in the source. It's all about mapping the evidence, the arguments, the counter-arguments, not just stamping true or false.
Okay, that makes sense for navigating complex issues.
But this brings up a huge question. Ethics. A system with this kind of power analyzing truth. How does it make sure it's ethical? How does it avoid just encoding someone's specific morality? That's where the UDHR comes back in, but in a really technical way.
The Universal Declaration of Human Rights again.
Yes, but reframed. It's treated as a set of non-negotiable design constraints. They're not just ideals. They're built into the system's architecture.
So wait, you mean human rights principles become like lines of code? Technical requirements?
Pretty much, yeah. Take Article 12, the right to privacy. That translates directly into technical principles like data protection by design.
Okay, like GDPR stuff.
Yeah.
Data minimization, anonymization.
Exactly. User control over their data. Or think about Articles 2 and 7, non-discrimination, equality before the law. The system needs to have built-in, continuous algorithmic bias detection and mitigation. It even uses statistical checks, like the disparate impact ratio, to monitor fairness.
Wow, okay. That's quite embedded. What about free speech? Article 19, does it just delete things that it thinks are false?
It strongly favors correction over censorship. So if there's misinformation, the system's designed to overlay it with a verification report showing the evidence trail.
So context, not removal.
Right. Removal is really reserved for direct, imminent threats like clear incitement to violence, things that directly violate the right to life, that sort of thing.
Okay, so these ethical rules are baked in.
Yeah.
How does all this, the truth tiers, the ethics, translate into something that actually helps us, regular people? Could it help you personally?
Well, this gets into ideas like societal homeostasis systems, trying to find stability, and also self-regulation theory from psychology. The system uses something called libertarian paternalism.
Libertarian paternalism. Sounds like a contradiction.
Kind of. It means guiding people towards better choices, but without restricting their freedom. It does this through nudges.
Nudges. Okay, how does that work without being creepy or controlling?
The key is it analyzes your voluntarily provided data, let's say your financial transactions, if you choose to share them. And it compares that against your own stated goals. Maybe you told it you want to save more money or drink less alcohol.
Goals I set myself.
Yeah. Exactly. Then it might give you a nudge, maybe just a notification, or a simple data visualization showing how your actions align or don't align with those goals. Like, heads up, you've gone over the alcohol spending limit you set for yourself this month.
Oh, I see. So it's using my goals and my data to help me self-correct. It's not telling me what my goals should be.
Precisely. The autonomy remains entirely with you. It's just providing an objective feedback loop based on what you said you wanted.
Okay. And technically, behind the scenes, how does it manage all this data and analysis?
There's a complex multi-agent AI system, different specialized AIs working together. They build and maintain this huge knowledge graph.
A knowledge graph, like connecting all the pieces of information.
Yeah, allowing for what's called multi-hop reasoning. It can connect disparate facts to verify complex stories or narratives, checking consistency across lots of sources.
And how do we interact with this? If I'm using it, what do I see?
The human interface is obviously crucial for trust. There's a veracity dashboard. You might see a sort of truthometer rating for a claim, and a specific confidence score, maybe 92% confidence. But critically, there's always a clickable evidence trail.
So you can see the receipts, basically.
Right.
Follow the logic back to the source documents.
Exactly. You can see why the system reached its conclusion. Transparency is key. There's even an optional externality dashboard.
What's that?
It visualizes the potential societal costs or benefits of aggregate behaviors based on anonymized data, of course.
Right.
Like the collective carbon footprint impact of driving choices in a certain area.
Wow. Okay, so pulling this all together, this deep dive suggests a system aiming to, well, cut through the immense noise we started with, grounded in verifiable facts, these tiers of truth, and these hard-coded universal human rights, and even potentially helping individuals align with their own goals.
Yeah, it really does, which, raises a pretty fundamental question for all of us, I think. How might a system like this, one that relentlessly pursues computable veracity and empowers individual self-correction, how might that fundamentally reshape our understanding of collective responsibility and maybe even trust itself in this incredibly interconnected world we live in?